Information, communications, and technology are being increasingly integrated into education. And on EdTech Monday, we've discussed how technology has improved access to education. And we're constantly looking at the ways in which that intervention of technology as a tool to improve outcomes and skills is doing. This month, we focus on coding. Coding is just the primary method for communicating with computers. It is using a language to give a computer instructions to perform some very specific functions. Coding makes it possible for us to create things such as the software and websites which many of you interface with. It might seem like it's a very highly technical skill, but in fact, it's a form of literacy. On the show today, we speak to experts on how coding can be integrated into the education curriculum and the advantages it gives its learners. So thank you so much, my panel today, for making it. I want you to introduce yourselves, starting from that side, to our audiences.
I'm Naluvega Priscilla, CTO and Operations in Innovlabs. Innovlabs is an EDTECH startup that works in early childhood development, building teaching aids and teaching coding and robotics, and as well as doing toys for early children between the ages of 10 to 11 years old. Thank you.
All right.
Yes, thank you. I'm Bernard Charles Ndege. I'm a data scientist and software developer at Ensivoco. What we do at Ensivoco, we build financial software, mainly helping people in rural areas, mainly the unbanked population. We provide access to them, we help them move from just using the paper and pen to actually digitalizing them. Yes.
All right, thank you.
I'm Tugume Agnes Brenda, co-founder Code Academy Uganda and the operations manager. So basically Code Academy Uganda, our vision is that we teach every child in Uganda has access to computer programming skills. And our major focus is computer science for the young children, that's from 7 years to 19 years. Thank you.
Yeah, Agnes, if I could start with you, what is the importance of coding to young learners? Why is it important that everyone must learn how to code?
Technology is the future, is the current for the future, and coding basically it helps children to be creative.
Why is it important? I mean, innovativeness is really great for learners, and the curriculum that we have currently also offers that kind of innovativeness. But why is it important that this very specific skill called coding, everyone must learn it?
I think right now we all agree we are actually using technology. We have tech around us from health, from the different sectors, health, finance, even in our daily life. When you go home, you put on your TV, you listen to radio, use your phone on a daily, more than even 8 hours a day. So we actually already using tech around us. But the biggest problem is that most of the tech that we are using, we actually don't understand it. When you install WhatsApp, you're using it for texting, but you don't actually know what's behind WhatsApp. When they make an update, you just accept. You don't even read the privacy policy and just accept. But with someone who understands coding, if you at least have the skill of coding, I think it helps you understand better what those apps do. Some of them are actually harmful to us. Some of them have done more harm than good. But because we don't understand what they do, we actually don't do what? We don't pay attention to them. And plus, also coding has its own benefits. It has been proven that someone who has studied code and someone who hasn't, it actually helps you. It helps you in problem solving. It helps you with logical thinking, computational thinking. It helps you because it involves even other processes. Coding is actually not about just writing lines of code on a computer. There is design in the back end. You have to sit down as a team, break down big tasks into small ones, in that you can allocate them to some. So if coding as a skill helps you, then I think everyone needs to use it in their daily life.
Priscilla, a lot of people think that coding is a really technical thing, truly hard to break through, takes years of learning. Even the image that's presented of people who code is, these are truly introverts, they shut out the rest of the world, focus on their computer. Is it that way? Is that what coding is? Is that really what it is?
Actually, that's interesting. I really get that a lot. And coding is always associated with geeks, nerds, people with hoods and bags and dogs. But I'll start with a quote by Steve Jobs. He said, everyone in this country should learn how to program a computer because it teaches you how to think. So it's not about geeks, people with codes and with laptop bags, heavy bags, and it helps you even with the tiniest little tasks. Like if you have to write the Excel sheet, you have to automate every date, every name. You can just write a Python script and everything is automated. It's set up from your calendars, from your to-do lists. Now we don't need to write a pen and paper. And, you can always forget the pen and paper. But, you can do a simple app based on your own feelings, your own preferences, and it just takes your daytime. It's just more of about efficiency and making things easy. So we're really moving to a world where we want things to be easy for us, things that are efficient, things that make our lives easy. So we want to have time with our parents, our friends, our families, but we want to do it in the most efficient way. So I think it's not for just geeks and nerds, but everyone else.
Bernard, one of the questions that I want to ask is something that Priscilla has mentioned. If I didn't know what Python was, I'd be scared because, Pythons are associated with snakes and the like. But coding has its language, which is really specific to it. And for many people to learn it, the first thing that you have to overcome is the mindset of trying to learn code. How do you help people overcome that mindset that, this is a hard thing to do?
Actually, I want to first mention coding is actually not hard. Just like any other profession, it starts out hard, but the more you get into it, it actually becomes easier. And the hardest part is usually at the start when someone, if you actually start teaching someone just showing them a screen, telling them type this, then they will not know what to use it. But if you actually start with telling people why, if you learn code, what are the benefits? We have so many jobs opening up right now in the tech sector, and there are very few people who are actually qualified to take one of those jobs. So if you mention to someone that, yes, if you learn code and you become good at it, there's an opportunity for you. If you learn code and they will not steal your money, if let's say I have a business, and if you learn coding, you can develop your own software that can help you track sales in your shop, then someone will find a use for it, and they'll no longer see it as a challenge. They actually see it as something that is going to help them move. So I think the first thing that we need to do is help them understand the use of what coding and tech is. Then from there, they can push on to study.
Agnes, the mindset problem, how do you overcome that mindset of fear for coding? And I also want you to speak to the fact that that mindset change doesn't have to be personal. Sometimes it has to be institutional if you want it to be accepted into like a learning curriculum.
Okay, thank you so much. So about the mindset, I think I'll first talk about one, like Bernard has said, you need to tell the benefits of coding, you get it. And also if you could have role models to speak to them, and also get people who are like them. Programmers love those hard terms, and you're like, yes, and you feel like, yes, you're up there. But also, if you really come and show them, for example, when we are teaching children coding, we introduce them at the basic, just assume something simple. For example, we start teaching them animations because we can't teach kids Python because it will be boring, to be like really like out of scope. Because even when some of them we show them Python, like, let's go back to the other one. The other one is more like, because they can relate with it, it's nice. And because also after writing code, they can see the results there and then. And it makes work easy. So I believe to cut that part of the mindset, let's start with some, at least a programming language, which is more simpler, people can easily relate with, then as they advance on.
Priscilla, how do you overcome this mindset, particularly at an institutional level, where we recognize coding is important for everyone, but to teach it in schools, you must have an institutional shift from the way that they perceive of coding. How do you achieve that for Uganda's education sector?
I would say we are looking at, we're going to look at what other countries are doing and what we are doing here. Then you would say, like countries in America, let me say Kenya or Tanzania, you're seeing the skyrocketing in the number of startups and the number of businesses that are being brought up due to people knowing a background in coding, and all of them are coding-based startups. So we're looking at Nigeria, which has the biggest number so far in Africa in terms of tech startups, in fintech, and all other types of startups. We really want to bring that. So when you go into an institution, you bring them that vision, that this is where we want to take the country. If our children really learn, like the way you learn literacy or numeracy at a young age, I think we should start coding at a young age to create that creativity, to inspire, to bring up that hype and vibe and spirit of, oh my God, I want to be like Elon Musk in the future. How did you start? Okay, he learned programming. I want to be like Mark Zuckerberg. You're bringing that into schools. And I think, and I feel like the Ministry of ICT and the Ministry of Technologies, they're also catching up to this. They're really feeling this need of, we need like robots, we need AI, we need things to be done in a certain way that is not typically manually, because many things here are done manually, but if we're doing things manually, we're not going to catch up at the pace at which other countries are running. So if we want our country to really run so fast, we have to get up to the pace of technology and do things very tech way. So we have to bring it back to the schools, and it has to start at a very young age. And you realize it's mostly the children who really inspire the other elders to get it on. So if the children are excited, you start with making them excited. It's because if you bring it to them and it's like a punishment, oh God, you have to learn how to code. It's hard. It's going to be like another mathematics, another physics. And you know how students feel about physics. They're like, physics, geez, that's for nerds. Math, oh God, we have to bring it like a vibe, it's cool, yeah? Bring it like a chill. So when the children like it, it's going to be easy to implement in schools and say, from this class to this class, we're going to have coding. And what is coding? You're going to make cool apps. You're going to make, startups. You're going to make another Facebook. Okay, not necessarily Facebook, but you're going to go to the metaverse. Who does like to go to the metaverse? So students really get the hype. I really get it a lot in InnovLabs when you're teaching them to draw the robotics, and they're joining the car and it's now moving. And they're like, wow, it's weird. There was wires and circuits, but now they're all fixed together and they're running around. The happiness is just so, diverse.
Bernard, come to you before we take a break. In terms of competitiveness, she's mentioned something important, that other countries which have a bigger startup culture are now more competitive in the space. Have you seen any successes from learning code and becoming more competitive in the marketplace recently?
Yeah, actually, the best example is we have China taking over the whole world. But actually, China's success didn't just come right now. China's success came, I think, in 1986. They have the 863 program. That was the start, and their main target was to improve science and technology. So when they laid down everything, that is 1986. But they're showing up right now onto the market. So I think the biggest challenge that we are going to have is that, yes, we all know we need tech, but rushing into it. If we rush into it, we don't have the qualified personnel. We don't have teachers who are actually skilled enough to teach kids. And that's what is happening. We have new curricula that are coming up. We just throw them to the teachers, and the teachers fidget with teaching it to the kids. So I think, yes, we need the coding and everything, but we shouldn't rush. We should first take a step, learn from other countries. China has done it. We have countries like, I think, Finland, who are actually doing it. The UK has adopted it into their curriculum. The US is also adopting it into their curriculum. But we have to first do a study before actually we just throw it out to the kids.
All right, thank you. We're going to take a very short break, and when we get back, we'll discuss about coding in Ugandan schools, what challenges and how can they be solved. Welcome back to EdTech Monday. We're discussing the role of code in our Ugandan curriculum and what it can do, what edge it can give to the learners. We really had a great conversation at the start about coding and overcoming the mindset around coding, but now we really want to get more specific into the details. And I think I'll start with you, Priscilla. The coding requires institutional investment. I mean, you can't code if you don't have a gadget, either a mobile phone or a laptop. And those gadgets are not readily available across the Ugandan spectrum of education. There are inequalities in amounts of money that schools have. There are inequalities in the kinds of school fees that are paid. How do we make coding available to almost all the learners in their various areas?
That's a very nice, wonderful thought question. And I think this would have to go out to everyone. What if we had communities, and in each community there are these coding communities, and they get specific personnel that run these communities? I would feel that would be a very good solution to that problem. You realize you can't code without a PC, and it reaches a time when you're developing a certain product that certain machines won't really work. They will just don't work. So I think if we would get such communities that are dedicated to teaching the different learners code, maybe holiday programs, and we have these people that are dedicated, they're already knowledgeable about the tech space, they're knowledgeable about the teaching of the subjects, I think that will be most cost effective. Like in every community, there is a learning facility for code. And this calls upon the input of the government too, the local communities, the chair people, the parents and the other localities themselves to come up and like start up these things. And I think that will be a very nice, cost-effective way to bring the code to everyone. Yeah.
You're involved in a private sector effort really around teaching for code. What do you see that the private sector can offer to government to help them solve this problem of first inequality, but also making sure that coding is available to all learners?
Okay, so basically what I would say about private sector, I think, yes, you find that people are too more, how do I really get out, maybe get money from, like as I'm offering a service. But what I could just encourage is, let's first focus, is could we offer, maybe work with the government and offer free classes, you get it, to the schools. For example, for us as Code Academy Uganda, we have a program called Code School. We reach out to schools, and this year we have a target to reach out to 7,000 kids with programming for free. So, for example, what we do currently is we go to schools. The requirement is for them to have at least a computer lab and an ICT teacher. We go and offer services for free, because beyond the business side, we look at the future of tomorrow, because these are the children, and the future is digital. So we need to be able to hope the future, you get it, because to reduce the part of unemployment, currently most people who are not employed, is because they can't they have no digital skill. It could be programming or any other digital skill. But if we work together with the government and then try to even reduce on our costs, and then be able to work to come up with a memorandum of understanding, and also as the private sector, we try to work together. No, we should leave the part of competition, like I can offer better service, I can do this. But if we choose to work together, we can achieve the digital future we want.
If I could come to you, it's one thing to have the institutional framework there, and we know many schools that actually have computer laboratories. Government schools, for example, it's now a must to actually have a computer laboratory. But there's also a deficit of human skills. There's just not enough teachers to teach coding in schools. How do you fix that other deficit of the human skills or the human resource?
I think the best way to fix that is... that's a tricky one. I think the best way to fix the issue of lack of resources, yes, I would say train the teachers and all that, but who is going to train them? And most of schools actually in Kampala do have access to labs and all that, but you want code to be accessible to even people in refugee camps in Yumbe and things like that. And you find people like those don't even know what a phone is. They have never seen anything. You are going to tell them, you're going to code on a computer, but they've never seen a mouse. So even before we try to skill the necessary people to teach them, I think we should first expose them to technology. And in Civil Corps, we had projects whereby we were onboarding VSLAs, village savings groups, in refugee camps. We had a problem whereby we're providing them a software, but they don't have access to phones. It was a mobile app, they don't have access to mobile apps. So the solution we did was, we purchased mobile apps, took them, trained them, and surprisingly reached a point whereby some of them actually never even held a phone, not even a feature phone. So even before we bring coding to the young ones, we need to train the people. And how are we going to train them? The Ministry of Education to actually formulate a proper curriculum. And after formulating that proper curriculum, they should do a study. Most of the cases, what happens is that they develop a curriculum and they dump it onto the school without even making research. Will it be useful to them? We've done too much rote learning, and you may find the same curriculum they're going to do is going to involve rote learning, which has not helped right now. So yes, the ministry should develop a curriculum, do proper study, roll it out in a few schools, see the impact over a certain period of time, not rolling out for just one term, and we say, yes, it works, students have learned. We should roll it out for a certain period of time, roll it out for a year, and you see, this school A, students learned how to code. School B, students didn't learn how to code. Compare and see, what advantages have they benefited? What more should we add? Then after rolling out, then we can train actually. We need to train teachers who are qualified. We have ICT teachers where the best they know is Excel, opening Excel and just adding spreadsheets and adding data. They don't know that even Excel is a very powerful tool that can be used. You can even use Excel to develop reports and things like that. So they don't know them as teachers. So you expect these teachers to teach it to students. So it's going to be confusion. I'm already a confused adult who doesn't know the actual use of code, and I'm now confusing the kids more. So we should actually just first develop the curriculum, do proper studies, train the necessary personnel, the teachers widely. Then after that, we can roll it out to kids.
Priscilla, what's the future for coding in Uganda and in Africa at large? What does the future look like from where you sit?
From where I see it, it's very bright. It's extremely bright. We are looking at a stage where Uganda is skyrocketing. The trend at which we're having startups coming up, tech startups are coming up. It's skyrocketing. Look at Safe Border, look at, you can name them. There are very many. I can't finish them. But you can see that trend, it is high. And I'm seeing the future of people using AI. You're not doing that thing. You're not writing all your reports on paper. We no longer plan on paper. We're now having working course spaces online. Everything is just tech. I feel that the future is bright. And if we embrace it, if we bring children on board at an early age, if we embody it in schools, that, they relieve the rigidity behind and take on an open mindset. I think Uganda will really be among the best, the biggest producers of the tech facilities. I love to talk about it as a Silicon Valley in Uganda, whereby, kids are coming up with different things. If children are really very exciting people to work with, if you introduce to them a concept, they would really want to know more about it. And they'll get they'll really get inquisitive with it, and they'll want to find out more about it. So you realize that the more we bring into code, we're bringing in tech, we're bringing on these, the guys will start doing different things. You bring up solutions in societies will be solved very fast. Youth will think about not going to complaining to the local elders that we don't have jobs. That will be the problem. I think bringing youth early on the tech scale is going to help us to add us to be the solution to our own problems. We know best our problems, so we can solve them if we know that we're having the tools.
Agnes, what's the future for coding from where you sit?
Basically, the future is bright. So basically, for example, Africa holds 1% on the global digital share, which means we are more over consumers than producers. So as a coding, because coding hopes to impart creativity. So with so for example, there are so many tech startups, as Priscilla said. So there's Mindset, there's Innova Labs, there's Code Academy Uganda. I've heard about so many. There's Macquarie Innovation Society. So you look at all those are trying to come up there to teach children computer coding skills or computer science skills, which I really believe is important, because if we all wake up, it's not like we are sleeping, but if we all wake up and work together as a team, the future is bright, because beyond that, but also there's something which need to be addressed. For example, we're going to look at the infrastructure, because currently in Uganda, yes, around the city, yes, there's access to internet, there's access to electricity, but there are some places you really go to, and there's no power, even the network is very bad. So we need to, the government has to think about how it could work, that not everyone is involved, not just taking a few, because yes, a start might be to take a few. And then some other thing I would love to address is, for example, access to knowledge. You get it? So, for example, if you look at technology, technology has a hierarchy of learning. For example, you need to look at the fundamentals of technology. You get it? Then also is acquiring the skill. Then there's the application of it. So we need to look into that, where teachers are being equipped with the right skills. And also after them being equipped with the right skills, also they have to be able to maintain. I also give an example. For example, if you go to a school, and maybe, for example, for us as Code Academy Uganda, we have code clubs in particular schools. So what we do is when we go to a school, we start a code club, and the teacher is in charge of the code club. We make the teacher feel to be part of it. We make the school feel like they own it, it's theirs, it's not ours. You get it? So if they own it, it becomes easy. They won't do it as like we are just helping out. So in that way, find the future becomes brighter for the children. And also the other part I would love to address is the system, basically the education system. So currently in Africa, and also particularly in Uganda, which I'm more sure is the curriculum doesn't really involve coding. There are some schools you go to and they tell you, know what, is it examinable? You get it. And then someone tells you, if it's not examinable, why should we do it? You get it. Because they have not yet seen the importance from the national level. You get from the Ministry of Education. Because, and then another thing, we look at schools have fixed timetables. They will tell you we don't have time to do that. So if we really look at the urgency, the importance of coding, we can easily address all those challenges, and the future is bright for Africa in the tech world.
Bernard, you get the last word on this. What's the future for coding from where you sit? What do you see as the future?
I think I agree with my fellow panelists. I think it's bright. Rock Telecom just launched I think it's the hubs. They've just launched hubs, whereby they're solar paneled hubs. They're going to place them, I think they're going to be 49, correct me if I'm wrong, 49 centers. And what they're going to do, they're solar powered. It's just a small tent, just as you know, a normal tent that you go to on a function, that they're placing them in 2 different areas. They'll be providing internet. They'll be providing material basically for kids to come and learn. So they have just launched it. Today is World Youth Skill Day. That's when they're launching it. And if you have more people, more even government entities or even different private entities who actually who are providing such services, coding material is already there. If you Google anything, you can get any type of content that you want, and the way you want to teach it, to air it out. But the problem is accessibility to such content. We know these sites, we know everyone, we know Coursera, we know all these other places. So if these telecom companies, they can whitelist those websites, whereby someone can log into the website without require of data. We used to use Facebook Zero. We didn't require data. So if we can actually make such content accessible at a very low cost, internet connectivity in rural areas is actually stronger, because there's no competition. There are free resources that are being used. There are few people who are using the internet at that point. So if we can actually just make it a collaborative effort for all stakeholders, to make content accessible, provide people with gadgets, giving out phones and things like that, even building centers, it will be good. Because I think most companies actually are mandated to do some give back to community. So if companies put effort into tech, invest in different areas, I think we can make it easier. It will be accessible.
Thank you so much, my panelists, for such an engaging conversation. And thank you so much to our audience that has been watching this conversation about coding in Ugandan schools and on the Ugandan curriculum and what it can give as an edge to the learners. Of course, this is EdTech Monday. EdTech Monday is brought to you by the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with the Innovation Village. Thank you so much for watching us. We'll be back again next month with another episode of EdTech Monday.